planets in astronomy is only a tiny little bit of what they look like in the sky. That's not what we mean by graha. It's not Jupiter or Saturn with rings around it. We don't care. Astrology doesn't work because light from some planet is touching you, or gravity, or some chemical astral ray or something. Astrology doesn't work because of that. Astrology works because you are responsible for your actions. And the universe will hold you responsible. And who are the deputies of the system of law? 9 beings called Navagraha, the 9 planets. And they're inside of you, in your different chakras. So even if you go to a bunker underground, you can't do something that Jupiter doesn't see. So, let's talk about the sun. Any questions at this point? Going once, twice, gone. All right, let's talk about the sun. The sun is the most important planet. Does that make sense? Yes. Because obviously the sun is the most important planet, practically speaking. The sun in Sanskrit is called Surya. It can also be called Ravi, Bhanu, but mainly we'll say Surya. But we'll use the Western terms most of the time here because you guys don't speak Sanskrit too often. So the sun is the center. If you want to know what the sun represents, think of the fact that the sun is at the center of the solar system. What is he do? What is going around the sun?
Everything.
Basically everything. And what is the sun giving off?
Energy.
Light and heat, right? If it's not for the sun, what would there be? There would be nothing. There would be no life. This sun represents the Sanskrit principle called Atma. Did anybody learn about this in their college course on Hinduism? Atma? You guys know what Atma is?
Yes.
What is it?
Soul.
It's the soul. The sun is your soul. What does the soul do?
Transmigrates.
Yeah, it does.
Illuminates.
Yeah. Some people say, like, well, I don't know, is there a soul? I don't know if there's such a thing as a soul. My mother, she doesn't know if there's such a thing as a soul. She doesn't believe in it. What do you mean there isn't such a thing as a soul? You wouldn't be able to ask a question if there was not such a thing as a soul. The soul is your capacity to be aware. This thing here, to the best of my knowledge, is not aware that I just picked it up. But if you pick me up, I'd be pretty aware. But if you first slit my throat, let the blood run out, and then pick me up, I wouldn't be aware. Don't do that, please. No experiments. Why not? Because after the body dies, so-called, the soul is not present in it anymore. So there's no awareness. What is the sun? The sun is the factor which is giving light to everything. What does the sun really tell you? It tells you that at the center of everything in your life must be your consciousness. The main concern in your life shouldn't be how your hair looks today. It's fun. I like dressing my hair up, and I'm a boy. But it's not that important. It's also not important how much money you make. It's a little important. But the central concern of your life should be the sun. Just like the sun is the center of the universe, the central concern of your life should be your seat of awareness, your own internal consciousness. What is it illuminating? It's giving life to your body, just like the sun gives heat to the world so that things can grow and live. And everything else revolves around it. That's why you won't be happy until you have your sun issues ironed out. Because even if all your other planets are whistling Dixie, if the sun that they're all rotating around is going dead, then how much happiness can they give you? So you may have a great long life, you may have a wonderful amount of bank money, you may have fantastic passions, you may be just a great artist, and you may be the smartest person in the world with a brilliant, brilliant mind. But if you have no spiritual awareness, they're all rotating around a dead sun. So this is one little thing that Vedic astrology teaches us about human nature and what life is supposed to be about. Then you can see why it's at the center of India's cultural concepts. Now, the sun is being acted upon by 2 principles. One's called Rahu and one's called Ketu. I bet you never heard of those planets. except you. Did you ever hear of Rahu and Ketu?
Yeah.
I know he did. He's kindergarten class. It's K2. Did you ever hear of the nodes? The lunar nodes?
Yeah.
If you take the sun, if you take a magic marker and you draw the path of the sun, you follow the sun across the Pacific Beach sky, and then you also take a magic marker. Let's say it's a red one for the sun, and then you draw the path of the moon when it goes through the sky. There's going to be a spot where they cross each other. That's called a node. And then at the bottom of the sky they also cross. So there's two of them, one north and one south. The one up there is called Rahu, and the one down there is called Ketu. There's a long story, you can read it in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam, how these guys got up there. But they're not planets. Like, they don't even have mass. They don't even have a globe. They're just energy spots that hold various karmas. And what they do is they act on the sun. They cause the sun to transform. They cause the sun and the moon to transform and undergo changes. So Rahu is the force which is transforming our consciousness outward. And Ketu is the force which is transforming our consciousness back inward. And that, if you can see the two of them at the top. So Rahu is like pushing the sun out towards Earth. And then Ketu on the left is pulling the sun's energy back up to where it started. So last week I said we all came from a great big bang. We all came from the original one, and we manifest into many different pieces. And then we had a problem because some of us wanted to be the one. So the one said, okay, no problem, I'm going to create a world where you can be the one. But we said, sounds good, but does that mean I have to give up this world too, with you and all these wonderful spiritual things? And so the one, aka Krishna, said, no problem, I'll create karma. So he created two things. To facilitate us as living beings, Krishna created two things, Maya and karma. Maya to throw you into illusion, so that you can feel like you're God or a godlike person or really cool. That's Maya. That's Rahu, forcing your consciousness outward, projecting your sun energy outward to the world. And then he also created karma, which the purpose of karma is so that you're responsible for your actions, so that you gradually learn not to be so self-centered and want to be God. And so karma is like Ketu's energy pulling you back towards God consciousness. So Rahu is transforming your soul to come down towards Maya, towards illusion, and Ketu is... So what does this mean about life? There's all sorts of things in our life. There's all sorts of things in our life acting on our sun. Some of our energy is pushing us out, away from our spiritual nature. And some of the energy is pulling us back in towards our spiritual nature. Let's talk about the ones... what's going on, how it's pulling it out, and how it's going to come back full circle. And I don't actually, personally, I don't really assign too much of a value judgment to one or the other. You would probably, well, these men are brahmacharis. They're very dedicated, they're monks. So I was also that way at one point in history, in the previous millennium. But so it's very actually strict. You should be very strict. Nonsense is only going to slow you down. For this ashram, just forget about the Rahu energy, please. But in the overall point of life, you don't really have to assign a negative value towards your energy which is pushing you out. You have to understand that your life energy and your evolution of your consciousness has to undergo a complete circuit. This is why Prabhupada said that devotional service is so sublime. Because by bhakti, or devotional service, all of the energy can become spiritualized. Your outward energy and your inward energy. Just see, you don't know yet, but right now speaking and thinking. I had to think about this stuff, I had to learn about this stuff. That's all Mercury energy. As you can see, Mercury is on that side of energy which is forcing us down. Just see the music. Just see, I have to speak Indian style. Just see the music that was just being so nicely played by these nice boys. You know, that's Venus. So don't worry, oh, I'm materialistic. I care about my life. I want to have my couch not have bugs in it. Don't worry, you don't have to become crazy and think that only your life has to be Ketu energy pulling you in. Try to become balanced so that Rahu and Ketu are balanced, because you have to do this for your whole